Hello everybody, welcome to Overdungeon. This is what would you call it, a Slay the Spire-esque roguelite. It's a bit of a copy, but it's a fun copy. Please don't be put off by what you see now. It's not as bad as it looks. I know this is not a good impression, and this makes it even worse, but just give it a chance, alright? We're going to be picking a character, and the character's cards will be in the game, and also we can pick between, right now, 3 decks. Cards that will also be available during the game, and we get to pick 2 of those. This is an early access game, so there's gonna be a lot more decks to be added later on, but as of now that's all we've got, but it's already quite a bit. Here you can already see the similarities to Slay the Spire. We cannot scroll up to see what's above here, but we can already kind of math out our path, and we're gonna want to fight this elite enemy, so you can gain another relic. This is a starting relic, heal 5% HP at the end of each combat, which might remind you of Slay the Spire all the more. Now, this is a deck. All of these are starting cards. Unlike in Slay the Spire, all of these cards can be amazing if they are in the right deck. Usually you will have the right deck for one type of card, maybe the direct damage ones, maybe the animals, or maybe the buildings, but not all of them. So you'll want to get rid of some of them, but some of them you'll also want to keep. So this is not as bad as a starting deck as it might seem at first. Like I said, we've got the strikes here, they do direct damage. We've got the overstrike, which does a lot more damage, but also overloads us, which means we draw less cards in the next turn, and this usually means you skip an entire turn if you play this, so this has to be used cautiously. This is the assault pony. This is as strong as the attack animal. It does a ton of damage. It's 40 damage if it reaches the enemy. This is our building, a mortar. It does 1 damage every second. That's not a lot. Like I'm saying, it's 1 damage every second, so you might already see that this is a real-time game. And we will figure out how that works in just a minute. And these last ones, these are our alpacas. Alpacas are actually important because they have taunt. So enemies will try to attack our face directly, but if we've got alpacas in the game, there's something to block them, which is very nice to have. So we'll play 2 of our alpacas first. This is our first turn, which was in slow motion, or rather time had stopped, but now the game starts and everything starts moving, so I have to play rather quickly, which is why I explained our cards before we started. I'll show you the mortar as well. We can wait a little bit. Enemies act only every turn, but here you see, if we let this fill up, we skip the turn and the enemy goes on attacking us. So that's a bad thing, that's something we don't want to happen. But since this is the beginning of the game, we can afford it to show off the mechanics. Here we have our first card that we can get. We can get a goat. Goats are kind of bad, but they've recently been buffed to do 3 damage to the nearest enemy every time you use a card. So if we had some way to use a lot of cards, goats would become a lot better. But I don't see it happening right now. Then we've got salvage. It adds the last exhausted card in this combat into the draw pile. Right now we don't have any cards that exhaust, so that seems useless. And we've got the elephant, which has overload but a lot of health and taunt, so this would kind of lead us into a taunty build, which we can try. Don't really like the elephant all that much, but if we go a heavy animal route, this might be something we could use. This is an elite enemy. These guys will damage us, there's no way around it. So what do we want to do? We want the alpaca to survive the first turn, so we will play the elephant last, which means the elephant will take the damage. Now, we need to get some damage onto these guys. Sadly, they all have a lot of health, so they'll take a lot to take them down. Now we played our overstrike, which means we skip a turn, which means we take a lot of damage. But the assault pony took care of this guy, so that's good. Let's play some more alpacas to make sure we survive for a while. We can use the elephant again. Now, the overload really hurts, but... Oh, maybe I should have played the overstrike, I don't know. You can see these useless cards, they're being added by the enemies. Whenever they don't attack us, they actually play one of those things that adds the annoying cards into our deck. These cards exhaust, so they're not that much of a problem. But still, we would rather not have them in our deck. Here you can see them disappear. We're actually getting through this without taking too much damage, and the assault pony finishes him off. Now we've got Quick Claw. Draw one additional card at the start of each combat. That's an extremely good relic. You're happy to have it. A Forge. This is one of the ridiculous cards in this game. I hope we are gonna be able to couple together a ridiculous deck. And even though we went the animal route first, and this one has building synergy, we will still try to make it work. Just because it's a lot of fun. Now, where do we want to go first? This is a camp, we can upgrade cards, and this is a shop where we can buy things. We will always get more camps, so I would rather go towards the shop, because sometimes you end up with no shops whatsoever. Right now the forge is actually useless, because all it does is double our crappy stuff. But I think we can make it work. We'll take a little bit of damage, but this is a bit of an annoying enemy. We want to kill it early. So we will take the 4 damage and just finish it off now. Now a heat reactor. This is a building, and this is what we were talking about. This is something we want. Every time we play a card, it will deal 5 damage. 8 damage, oh, it's been buffed to the enemy leader. And once we have a lot of those things, it's pretty nice. We also want one of these. These attack enemies, and it's a building that taunts, which is very useful. Now we can see that we're going buildings, so the strikes will become less and less useful. We can still use the alpacas for taunts, so let's not get rid of them just yet. I would like to go to another shop, but we don't really have the funds for it, so I'd rather see if we can pick up a nice card. Whenever you add a building card to your deck, it is upgraded. This is a great relic. It's a little bit late. It's not that late. Let's see if we can pick up a building and upgrade it. Doesn't appear to be the case, but the gold ingot gives us 300 gold and we only pay 142, so that's a nice find. With this one we draw 2 cards whenever we take damage, which is amazing actually. We'll pick that up, we'll pick this up, and we'll get rid of a card. Now we're cooking. This one can only be played if we have buildings, but since we're going a building heavy strategy, that's not an issue. And it lets us draw 2 cards. It overloads us, but once we upgrade it, the overload should go away. Wait, I think it just draws us 3 cards instead, which is basically the same thing. Now, this is what we wanted. We want to double up on our heat reactors. Now, whenever we play a thing, we do damage. which is great. We're still taking a little bit of damage, which is fine. Let's get these things going. I played the taunt things first, so we would not take too much damage. Ah, we're skipping this. No, we're not skipping this one, but it's not enough to finish off the enemy, I guess. Now we should be fine. Yep. So the building strategy is already starting to work. This relic gives us 3 chicks at the end of the turn, which doesn't do much, to be honest. Let's pick up another one of these. Card draw is always amazing. And since we don't have any money, we will fight another elite. Now we overloaded because we played the forge, but since the forge also doubles our buildings, that's a necessary evil. And slowly, without even doing much, we are starting to obliterate the enemy, just because we have so many of these cannon things. Wonderful. So we took more damage than I thought we would. This gives opening to one building, which means we can start out with the forge. We take a magic barrier because we are taking too much damage and taunts are not the be-all and all. So we definitely want to upgrade this, especially since we want to start out with it. And now we can show off what that does. So we'll play the Forge Plus. Actually, what did the upgrade do? Didn't reduce the overload. And it only builds one. Oh, I think it doesn't exhaust. Okay. So we'll get this card back when we draw through a whole deck. We are already overloading, so it doesn't matter if we play the elephant. And we'll play the mortar as well. So this is the turn we skip. This boss is never a big issue because he doesn't attack a lot in the beginning. And once he starts attacking, we should already be good. Because once he's at about half health, he will split in two and cancel all his attacks. This might look bad, but we should be just about there. Yeah, interrupt. There we go. So now we are playing more forges, which means we are playing more of these things. And if we can survive long enough, it should all go exponentially higher and higher in number. As soon as you kill one of these things, all their animals disappear. More forges, more cannons. And now we are cooking. This is what our combo is supposed to look like in the end. Right now it's taking too long to get off the ground. This is a barrier generator, which generates one of those nice barriers every turn. Overload transforms to overdraw. This is the most overpowered relic in the game. It doesn't appear at higher difficulties, but since you're just playing the introduction and I like to have a nice chill game, we'll take it and we'll show it off. Basically, instead of us drawing less cards when overdrawing, we draw more cards. Which might not make much sense to you when I say it like this, but you'll see next turn what that means. And it's kind of ridiculous. We'll play all these strong cards now. And despite playing all of them, we still draw even more of them on the turn after. Kinda waiting for a forge. Is it not showing up anymore? What? I'm a bit confused. The forge should have shown up again. We don't want any of these cards because they just make our deck worse at this point. Yeah, it should be in our deck. It should be upgraded. It should not exhaust. Did we find a bug? I don't think we did. Usually there's an explanation. We want to upgrade this so it doesn't exhaust. Do we need another relic or is a card upgrade better? A card upgrade is probably better, but we want the relic even more. This is a tough elite enemy for us. But let's see if we can't finagle it anyhow. I have to make sure these things stay protected. Which is a bit of an issue right now. I might have to hit up the devs with a bug report because I think the overdraw thing made it so our building doesn't come back to our hand, which is a big issue right now. But hey, there's always some unexpected stuff happening in here because this is an early access game. And there's some janky stuff going on still, but I think it's well worth the trouble. We don't need any of this. We'll go to the shop to get rid of something. Charm. This is a very good card. Let's get rid of a card first. We don't need the assault pony anymore. We want to pick up charm. Probably don't need it, but it's nice to be safe. If you're ever overwhelmed, the charm should save us. Every time you play 2 animals in a single turn, summon 3 chicks. Since we don't have a chick or an animal deck, that's kind of useless. We do want to upgrade the charm. And do I want to risk fighting another bunch of these dogs? Feel like I have to. Because otherwise I would be a coward. We can take 5. We don't want to use the charm yet. You're still doing quite well. So there is no need. Still not a good point to play it. Now, these guys would have attacked our towers, so that's why we kept the charm ready for just this occasion. And now we're just blowing up the enemy at this point. I'm kind of sad that we lost the ability to make more and more forges, but there's nothing we can really do about that. Partner. This card was recently nerfed, but it's still overpowered. If you have 2 of these, you can make a ton of dogs and overrun your enemy with those. I hope I can make an episode where we'll show that off, but we don't need any of these cards, so we'll skip. And fight the dogs again. I think we're doing quite fine. As long as they don't get a lucky throw and destroy our forge, we should be good. I should not put these Tesla towers so close to our buildings, because the enemies will do splash damage and kill everything close to it, so that's a bit dangerous. Let's put them up there in the middle of the map instead. Use the charm and let the dogs eat their owners. Wonderful. Got a fairy petal, gain extra intelligence for each time you gain intelligence. Since we're not gaining intelligence, that's a useless card. Intelligence basically means that all your direct damage spells are doing more damage, but that's not exactly our MO. We're upgrading the building there, basically to just make more of the same buildings. As you can see here, now we are making 3 instead of just 2. Drawing some more cards, and of course we're putting our strong elephant out there to tank for us. We're not upgrading the elephant for now because while it's nice to spawn 2 instead of 1, they would just take splash damage and die faster. So counterintuitively, I think upgrading it might not even be the best idea. These bosses are a bit annoying because if one of them dies, it revives the other one. Oh, that was a mistake. I tried to rectify it, but that's a bit of an issue. Let's get the bears to turn. Let's put some buildings in the other direction. So that we're not entirely boned once some attacks actually land in that corner. That was bad ordering, should have put the heat seekers first. Well, I think we're doing fine. We've got 28 barriers, so there's nothing that can actually kill us. This is my favorite spell in the game. It just draws you more cards in exchange for a little bit of HP. So usually here I would just pick one of these extra draw relics that don't really do much, but because we're streaming this and because we're putting it on YouTube, of course we're going with the Ultimate Joker, which gives us a ultra rare card. So let's see. This one doubles our buildings, which is probably the one we're gonna end up taking. This plays all exhausted cards in the combat. This deals damage to all the leaders and takes over all the animals. This is probably the best spell in the game, even better than the charm one. This one's just a ton of fun if you're playing spells. It just does a ton of damage, but it's a bit of a slow starter. A siege elephant heals you a little bit and makes an elephant and exhausts. I don't see why this is good. And this doubles the animals and casts rage on them. We're not playing an animal deck, so let's go with the ultra tech, double our buildings. Okay, these elite enemies are an issue for us. We'll try fighting one, but we might actually lose the game. No, probably not, but it will hurt. Let's say it like that. I should have drawn cards first. Let's give us some breathing room by having the enemies attack themselves. Now, let's see how many cards we can draw. We should actually double our buildings now, because it will double the forges, and so when we do make more buildings, it'll make even more buildings, resulting in more buildings and more buildings. So now we're putting 4 of those into the game at once. Just overrunning the enemy with damage. Carnot cycle. You're building steel extra 2 damage. This is a translation thing. I did read that right, but it exhausts, but still having 2 extra building damage from the damaging buildings is just... that's worth it, I think. We're drawing so many cards, it shouldn't be an issue to have a dead, basically dead card in our hand. We definitely want the barrier generator, because this enemy is gonna attack and hit hard. You're actually putting up the heat reactors first. Yeah, we can take care of these elites just fine. It's a bit of a rough start, but we're getting so many barriers and we're getting 2 more every turn. Yeah. We had a good draw though. We had a good draw. This increases max HP, which I think at this point doesn't matter. And let's see. We'll take the event. We've got enough cards in our deck. We don't want the dog summoner in our deck, so we leave the dog behind. Do we want to upgrade something? We definitely do. This gets rid of the exhaust, so... now basically whenever we go through our deck, we are... are we actually this insane now? Yeah, we double all our buildings every time we go through our deck. Let's see if there's something even more ridiculous in the shop. This is kind of good, it just makes the enemies deal less damage. And we will want to get rid of... not the overstrike actually, because we want the overdraw. We get rid of an alpaca. I guess the mortar could actually get in the way at this point, so let's get rid of it. We want to take on another elite enemy just to power up our deck even more. We don't need 80 gold, so... because there's no more shop left. After this, there's gonna be a boss, and that's gonna be the last boss of the game. We should double our buildings. We are gonna get the card back, right? Unless the bug continues. We take the damage. We take the damage and go for the overdraw. Yeah, I think the bug's there too. Okay. That's too bad. Otherwise our deck would be even more overpowered than it is now. We'll upgrade. This, so it should not exhaust anymore. Let's see if that actually works. I guess we will be doing a little bit of testing. So now we don't play it, but instead we wait. Yeah, that one keeps coming back, so it's just the ones that use the mana stabilizing catalyst agent thing. Now we double up. And we are totally destroying this boss. There we go. I think that's a good introduction to the game. And it's a little bit unsatisfying, like Slay the Spire basically, to be continued. But then there's going to be a lot more stuff added to this game. I made a little bit, a few screenshots to show off our best moments. This was when the doubling still worked, before we got the mana catalyzing agent. No, mana, what was it called? Destabilizing something. Any case, this is Overdungeon. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you on the next episode, because I'll be making more of those. This game is a ton of fun, and we haven't even scratched the surface. There's a lot of stuff possible here. And we'll try to do most of it, if I can manage. So like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.